I stared at the text message on my phone screen until the words blurred together. Three simple sentences that felt like a punch to the gut. Stop asking me for money. I'm not your personal ATM. Figure out your own life for once. My sister Rachel had sent this after I'd asked to borrow $200 for groceries. $200. I sat down on my worn couch, the one with the spring poking through the left cushion, and did something I hadn't done in years. I laughed. Not a happy laugh, but the kind that comes when the universe reveals just how absurd everything has become. Let me back up. 5 years ago, my sister Rachel came to me in tears. She was 26 then, fresh out of a messy divorce from a guy named Marcus, who'd run up their credit cards and disappeared, leaving her holding the bag. $52,000 in debt. The number had seemed impossible when she first told me, sitting at my kitchen table with mascara running down her cheeks. According to YouTube analytics, 99% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. I don't know what to do, she'd sobbed. They're threatening to garnish my wages. I might lose my apartment. I might have to declare bankruptcy. I was 28 at the time, working as a software developer for a mid-sized tech company. I wasn't rich, but I was comfortable. I'd been saving for a house, actually, had almost $30,000 in the bank and decent credit. Rachel knew this. Everyone in the family knew I was the responsible one. How much do you need right now? I'd asked her. I don't know. Everything. All of it. But that's impossible, I know that. I needed to tell someone. I'd spent the next 3 days running numbers, talking to my bank, restructuring my entire financial life. In the end, I'd taken out a personal loan for $30,000 and emptied most of my savings to cover the rest, $52,000 to pay off her debt completely. I didn't tell her I was going to do it, I just did it. When I transferred the money to her account and showed her the receipts, she'd broken down completely. I'll pay you back, she'd promised through tears. Every penny. I swear on my life. You've saved me. Family helps family, I'd told her. We'll work out a payment plan when you're back on your feet. Rachel had been so grateful. For about 6 months, she'd make small payments, 100 here, 50 there. But then the payments got further apart. She got a promotion at her marketing firm, started posting pictures from expensive restaurants on Instagram, bought a new car. When I gently reminded her about our arrangement, she'd say things like, I will, I promise, or things are tight right now, or, I'm good for it. Then she met Derek. Suddenly, there were couples trips to Cancun and Napa Valley, a designer handbag collection. She moved into a luxury apartment downtown, and the payments stopped completely. I didn't push too hard at first. I'd taken a hit when the company I worked for downsized, and I'd been laid off, but I found contract work, enough to get by. I'd moved into a smaller apartment, given up my own dreams of home ownership, but I managed. I figured Rachel would come through eventually. She was my sister. She'd promised. But as my own financial situation grew tighter, I'd started asking more directly. Could she spare a few hundred? Maybe start up those monthly payments again? She'd always have an excuse. Derek's mother was sick. They were saving for a wedding. The timing wasn't right. 3 years after I'd paid her debt, I lost my apartment when the landlord sold the building. I'd asked Rachel if I could stay with her for a month while I found a new place. She'd said no. Derek wouldn't be comfortable with it. She'd suggested I look into extended stay motels. I'd ended up on my friend Kevin's couch for 6 weeks. 4 years in, I'd asked her for help with a $1,500 emergency room bill when I'd had a kidney stone. She'd lectured me about not having proper insurance and suggested I set up a payment plan with the hospital. Now, 5 years later, I was working 2 jobs, freelance web development during the day and driving for a rideshare service at night, just to keep my head above water. I'd asked for $200 for groceries, and she told me to stop asking, to figure out my own life. I looked at that text message again. Something shifted inside me. Not anger exactly, though that was there too. It was more like clarity, a sudden, crystal clear understanding that I'd been played, that my sister had taken my sacrifice, my house fund, my financial security, and she'd simply decided that debt didn't exist anymore, that I didn't matter. I scrolled up through our text history. I found the last message where she'd talked about repayment. It was from 3 years ago. I haven't forgotten what you did for me, she'd written. I'll make it right. I took a screenshot. Then I went to my laptop and opened the folder I'd labeled Rachel Debt. Inside were all the documents: the original loan paperwork, the bank statements showing the transfer, the payment records showing every small payment she'd made in that first year, totaling just $3,400, the informal contract we'd written up together, signed by both of us, outlining repayment terms. I'd never imagined I'd need these documents, but something told me to hold on to them, and now I understood why. I spent that evening doing something I should have done years ago. I calculated everything. With the small payments she'd made, she still owed me $48,600. But that wasn't all. I'd taken a personal loan for $30,000 of that original amount, and I'd been paying interest on it for 5 years. I added up every interest payment, $11,140. The total came to $59,940, nearly $60,000 my sister owed me, and she had the audacity to tell me to stop asking for money. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I researched. I learned about small claims court limits, too low for this amount. I learned about civil court procedures. I discovered that our signed agreement, informal as it was, could be considered a valid contract. I found out about demand letters and debt collection procedures. By morning, I had a plan. First, I composed a formal letter. Not angry, not emotional, just a clear, professional demand for repayment. I outlined the original loan, referenced our signed agreement, calculated the interest based on standard personal loan rates, and gave her 30 days to begin a payment plan or pay in full. I sent it certified mail, requiring a signature. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. I called my parents. "Hey, Mom," I said when she picked up. "I need to talk to you and Dad about something. It's about Rachel." My parents had known I'd helped Rachel. They'd been proud of me for it. But they didn't know the details, didn't know she'd essentially stopped repaying me, didn't know I'd been struggling while she flourished. I told them everything. The silence on the other end of the line stretched out so long I thought the call had dropped. Finally, my father's voice came through. "She told us she'd finished paying you back 2 years ago." My stomach dropped. "What?" She said. My mother's voice was strained. "She said the two of you had worked it all out, that she'd made her final payment. Oh God. We've been giving her money too. She said she needed help with Derek's mother's medical bills." We talked for 2 hours. It turned out Rachel had been weaving a complex web of stories. She told our parents she'd repaid me to avoid their judgment. She'd told them sob stories about Derek's family to get money from them. She'd crafted an entirely false narrative about her life while posting her luxury lifestyle all over social media. "What are you going to do?" my father asked. "I'm going to get my money back," I said. One way or another. Rachel received my demand letter 4 days later. I know because she called me immediately, her voice shaking with rage. "Are you seriously threatening to sue me, your own sister?" "I'm not threatening anything," I said calmly. "I'm asking for the money you promised to repay. The money you legally agreed to repay. You have the signed contract same as I do." That wasn't a real contract." "Actually, it is. I checked with a lawyer. You borrowed money, we documented it, you made some payments, and then you stopped. That's a debt. I can't believe you're doing this, after everything we've been through. This is family." The word family lit something inside me. "You're right," I said. "It is family. That's why I gave you $52,000 when you needed it. That's why I expected you to keep your promise. That's why I thought you'd care that I've been struggling while you've been living large." "I'm not living large. You don't know what my expenses are." "Rachel, you posted pictures from Paris last month. You have a Mercedes. Your rent is $30,200 a month. I looked up your building. Don't insult me by pretending you can't afford to pay me back." She hung up on me. The next call came from Derek. I'd met him maybe 5 times in the 3 years they'd been together. He had that smooth corporate voice that immediately set my teeth on edge. "Look, man, I don't know what's going on between you and Rachel, but this legal stuff is really stressing her out. Can't you two work this out like adults?" "We're trying to," I said. "I sent a letter asking for repayment of a legitimate debt. That's pretty adult. Rachel told me this was a gift, that you gave her that money. Then Rachel lied to you. We have a signed agreement." "Come on, man. Family doesn't sue family over money. Family doesn't ghost family after being handed 50 grand either, but here we are." He tried a few more tactics, suggesting I was being petty, implying I was trying to ruin their relationship, even hinting that they were planning to start a family soon. And this stress was inappropriate. I stayed calm through all of it and repeated the same message. She borrowed money. She promised to repay it. She needs to repay it. That evening, Rachel posted on Facebook, "Sometimes you find out who people really are when money gets involved. Guess blood means nothing to some people." She didn't tag me, but several family members commented asking what was wrong. She played the victim perfectly, talking about being attacked over ancient history and how some people can't let go of the past. I didn't respond publicly. Instead, I made my own post. I kept it simple. Here's a life lesson I'm learning. If you lend someone $52,000, make sure you keep excellent records. I did. To my sister Rachel, "You have 26 days left to respond to my demand letter." I attached a photo of our signed agreement, with the signatures clearly visible. My phone exploded. Cousins, aunts, uncles, family friends. Everyone wanted to know what was happening. Some took Rachel's side initially, saying I was airing dirty laundry. But as I calmly explained the situation to anyone who asked, showing documentation, showing the timeline, showing Rachel's social media posts documenting her expensive lifestyle, the tide began to turn. My Aunt Martha, who'd always adored Rachel, sent me a private message. I lent her $5,000 last year for emergency car repairs. She told me she'd pay me back. She never did. I let it go because it's family. Now I'm wondering if I should have. My cousin James. She asked me for $2,000 for her wedding fund. I gave it to her. She's been planning a wedding. One by one, family members started coming forward. Rachel had borrowed money from at least 6 different relatives, always with a sob story, always with a promise to repay, and never following through. The amounts ranged from $1,000 to $8,000. In total, she'd borrowed over $20,000 from our extended family, beyond the $52,000 from me. The family group chat, which Rachel had left after my Facebook post, became a strategy session. We compiled all the evidence, all the stories, all the documentation. Some family members wanted to let it go, keep the peace, but others, especially those she'd borrowed from, were done being taken advantage of. My father made a call to Rachel. I wasn't there, but he told me about it afterward. He'd given her a choice: make this right with everyone she'd borrowed from, or be cut off from the family financially and otherwise. No more birthday money, no more holiday gifts, no more emergency bailouts. What did she say? I asked. She cried. She said we were all ganging up on her, that she's going through stuff we don't understand, that Derek is actually not doing as well as it seems, and she's been keeping up appearances. He sighed. Your mother asked her point blank, "Do you have the money to pay your brother back?" She said yes. She said she has savings. Then why hasn't she paid me? That's what I asked. She didn't have an answer. The 30 days came and went. Rachel didn't respond to my demand letter, didn't reach out to negotiate, didn't make a single payment. So I filed a civil lawsuit. It cost me $450 in filing fees, money I couldn't really spare, but I'd reached the point of no return. Rachel had to be served with the lawsuit papers. The process server found her at her office. She called me from the parking lot, absolutely hysterical. "You actually did it. You're actually suing me. You gave me no choice. I'll countersue. I'll tell everyone you're harassing me. You'll what, Rachel? Lie more? You have a signed contract. You have a debt. This isn't harassment. It's legal process. Derek is going to leave me over this. His family will think I'm trash." Something about the way she said it made everything click into place. "That's what this is about," I said slowly. "You've been pretending to be someone you're not. You've been living beyond your means to keep up appearances for Derek and his family, and you can't admit you needed help because it would ruin the image." She didn't deny it. She just cried. "Rachel, you could have just talked to me. We could have worked out a real payment plan, but you ghosted me. You told me to figure out my own life while you lived off money you never intended to repay." I did intend to. There was never a good time. There were 5 years of good times. You just chose to spend money on yourself instead. She hung up. Again, the court date was set for 6 weeks out. In that time, Rachel tried everything. She got our mother to call me, begging me to drop the suit. She had Derek's mother, the supposedly sick one who was perfectly healthy, call to tell me I was destroying a good woman. She even had a lawyer send me a letter, suggesting that since I'd initially given her the money willingly, It could be considered a gift. My lawyer, a guy named Thomas who I'd found through a legal aid service and who was taking the case partially pro bono because he found it interesting, sent back a response. That essentially said, "Nice try, but no." Then, 2 weeks before our court date, Derek left her. I heard about it through the family grapevine. Apparently, Rachel had finally come clean to him about the debt, about the lawsuit, about the money she owed. He'd been furious. Not just about the money, but about the lies. He'd moved out of their apartment that same day. Rachel called me at 2 in the morning. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "I've lost everything," she whispered. "Derek's gone. Half the family won't talk to me. I'm going to lose my apartment because I can't afford it alone. And you're still going to sue me." "Yes," I said. "I am. Why? What's the point now? I'm already destroyed. You've already won. Have I? Do I have my money back? Have you even acknowledged what you did was wrong?" Silence. "Rachel, this was never about destroying you. This was about you doing the right thing. You borrowed money with no intention of paying it back. You lied to everyone. You used people who loved you. And when I asked for help, not even for repayment, just for help, you told me to figure out my own life. I know, do you? Because until you actually understand what you did, until you actually take responsibility, this is just going to keep happening. You'll find new people to use, new ways to avoid consequence. I can't pay you back now, I really can't. Derek covered half the rent. I have to move. I might not even be able to afford a lawyer for court. Then show up without one and tell the judge the truth. Show your income, show your expenses. And if you genuinely can't pay it all now, we'll work out a payment plan. But you have to show up, Rachel. You have to stop running." The court date arrived. I took the day off from both my jobs, losing income I couldn't afford to lose, and met Thomas at the courthouse. We had our documents organized in a neat folder: the loan records, the signed agreement, the payment history, the calculation of what was owed, including interest. Rachel showed up alone. No Derek, no lawyer, no family support. She looked smaller somehow, her designer clothes seeming costume-like in the harsh fluorescent lighting of the courthouse hallway. We didn't speak before we went in. The hearing lasted 45 minutes. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, reviewed all the documentation. She asked Rachel if she disputed any of it. "No," Rachel said quietly. "It's all accurate. Ms. Thompson, why did you stop making payments on this debt?" Rachel looked at her hands. "I don't have a good answer. I thought I had time. I thought he'd understand. I thought I could just make it go away by ignoring it." "Did you use the money your brother provided for the stated purpose of paying off your debts?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Did you agree to repay him?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Did you make good faith efforts to repay him over these 5 years?" Rachel hesitated. "Not really, not enough. I made some payments early on, and then I stopped. I was living my life, and I stopped thinking about it." The judge looked at me. "Mr. Thompson, what are you seeking?" "Full repayment of the principal, minus the payments already made, plus interest calculated at the personal loan rate I was charged for the portion I borrowed. Total of $59.940, or a structured payment plan if a lump sum isn't possible." The judge reviewed the numbers Thomas had prepared, asked a few questions about the interest calculation, then asked Rachel about her financial situation. Rachel provided her bank statements and pay stubs. She made $87,000 a year. Good money. She had $34,000 in savings. She had a car worth about $40,000 that she was financing. "Ms. Thompson," the judge said, "you have the means to repay a significant portion of this debt immediately, and you have the income to repay the rest over time. Why haven't you done so?" "I was saving that money for my life, for emergencies, for my future." "You were saving it while your brother struggled, while he worked 2 jobs, while he gave up his own future, his house fund, his security, to save yours." Rachel started crying. Not the manipulative tears I'd seen before, but genuine broken sobs. I know what I did. I just didn't want to face it." The judge's ruling was swift and clear. Rachel was ordered to pay $34,000 immediately from her savings. The remaining $25,940 would be paid in monthly installments of $1,000 until the debt was cleared, with interest on the remaining balance. If she missed 2 consecutive payments, I could pursue wage garnishment. The judge also said something I'll never forget. "Ms. Thompson, your brother didn't just loan you money. He sacrificed his own stability for yours. He gave you a gift of trust, and you squandered it. This ruling isn't just about the money, it's about holding you accountable for that breach of trust. I hope you use this as an opportunity to become someone worthy of that trust again. Outside the courthouse, Rachel approached me. Her eyes were red, her face blotchy. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know that doesn't fix anything. I know it doesn't change what I did. But I am so, so sorry." I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in a long time. I saw not the successful, put together woman she pretended to be on social media, but the scared, flawed person underneath. "I believe you," I said, "but sorry isn't enough. Following through is what matters now. I'll make the payments, every single one, I promise." "You've promised before." "I know, but this time," she gestured back at the courthouse, "this time I don't have a choice. This time it's real." We stood there in uncomfortable silence for a moment. "For what it's worth," I said, "I didn't want it to come to this. I just wanted you to do the right thing." "I know, I wish I had." We parted ways without hugging or making plans to talk later. There wasn't anything else to say right. Then, 3 days later, $34,000 appeared in my bank account. I stared at the deposit notification for a long time. It was more money than I'd seen in my account in years. Not enough to undo all the damage. I'd lost 5 years of building equity in a home, 5 years of better financial stability, 5 years of opportunity. But it was something. I paid off the remainder of my personal loan, which still had $11,000 left on it. I put $15,000 into savings. With the rest, I paid off my credit cards and caught up on some deferred car maintenance. It felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. The first $1,000 payment arrived on schedule the following month, and the month after that, and the month after that. Over the next year, things slowly shifted. Rachel moved into a modest apartment, sold her Mercedes, and bought a used Honda. Stopped posting on social media almost entirely. She went to therapy, which our mother told me about during one of our weekly calls. I didn't hear from Rachel directly for 8 months. Then, one day, I got a text. "I know I don't deserve to ask, but could we get coffee sometime? Not about the money, just to talk." I thought about it for a week before responding. "Okay." We met at a small cafe halfway between our apartments. It was awkward at first, both of us uncertain of how to be around each other. But slowly, we started talking. She told me about her therapy, about recognizing patterns of avoidance and image management in her life. She told me about the wake-up call of losing Derek and facing the lawsuit. I was living a lie, she said. Everything was about appearing successful, appearing perfect. I couldn't admit I needed help because it would shatter the image. And I couldn't pay you back because that would mean admitting I'd needed saving in the first place. "Why tell me this now?" I asked. "Because you deserve to understand. And because I'm trying to be honest for once. Really honest." She looked at me directly. "I used you. I used everyone. I took your sacrifice and treated it like it was owed to me. And I'm going to spend a long time making up for that." It wasn't a magical moment of reconciliation. I didn't forgive her on the spot. Trust doesn't rebuild that quickly. But it was a start. 2 years after the lawsuit, Rachel made her final payment. She called me when she sent it. "It's done," she said. "The debt is paid." I got it. Thank you. I know this doesn't erase what happened. I know I can't get back those 5 years. But I need you to know that this changed me. Having to face consequences, having to actually be accountable, it changed me. "I can see that," I said. And I could. The woman I occasionally had coffee with now was different from the one who texted me to stop asking for money. More genuine, more grounded, more real. "Can we try to be siblings again?" she asked. I mean, really try. I don't expect everything to go back to normal. But maybe we could build something new, I thought, about it. About the anger I'd carried, about the betrayal, about the justice of seeing her held accountable. And I thought about the fact that she'd actually followed through this time. She'd paid every installment, on time, for 2 years. She'd done the work. "Yeah," I said, "we can try." It's been 3 years since that courthouse day. Rachel and I have a relationship again, though it's different than before. There's honesty now, but also boundaries. She's rebuilt relationships with the other family members she'd borrowed from, making amends where possible. She still lives modestly, focused on building genuine stability rather than an image. Last month, she helped me move into my new place. Not a house yet, but a nice apartment that I can actually afford comfortably. As we unpacked boxes, she said something that surprised me. Thank you. For what? For not letting me get away with it. For holding me accountable. I hated you for it at the time, but it saved me. If you just let it go, I'd still be living that lie, using people, running from reality. You forced me to grow up. I didn't know what to say to that. In my mind, I'd just been fighting for what was fair, for what was mine. But maybe that was what she'd needed all along. Someone who loved her enough to stop enabling her. You did the hard part, I told her. You showed up to court. You made the payments. You changed. I just made you face it. She smiled, and it was a real smile, not the performative ones from her Instagram days. Team effort? Team effort. Sometimes karma isn't some cosmic force that strikes people down. Sometimes karma is just consequences, finally arriving. And sometimes the people we love need those consequences more than they need our endless grace. I saved my sister twice, once with $52,000, and once by refusing to let that money disappear into the void of her denial. The first time, I saved her from debt collectors. The second time, I saved her from herself. And in doing so, maybe I saved us both.